Was Jack the Ripper real or just a myth? This question has puzzled historians, criminologists, and true crime enthusiasts for over a century. In the late 19th century, London found itself in the grip of a terror unlike anything it had ever experienced before. The city, a bustling metropolis at the heart of the British Empire, was suddenly plunged into a state of fear and uncertainty. The cause? A series of gruesome murders committed in the Whitechapel district, each more horrifying than the last. These were not ordinary crimes. No, they were calculated, brutal, and shockingly intimate in their violence. And they were all, apparently, the work of a single individual. This person was not known by his face, for he managed to remain unseen, a ghost in the crowded streets of London. He was known only by a name that would soon become synonymous with terror and mystery: Jack the Ripper. This elusive figure, this phantom in the night, became the subject of countless stories, theories, and investigations. The newspapers were filled with lurid accounts of his crimes. The populace was gripped with fear, and the authorities were at a loss. Was this fearsome character a real person, a cold-blooded killer stalking the streets of Whitechapel? Or was he an invention, a boogeyman created by a sensationalist media and a public all too willing to believe in the monstrous? In the years that followed, the legend of Jack the Ripper only grew. His identity remained a mystery, his crimes unsolved. And yet his name lived on, passed down through the generations, a chilling reminder of a time when a shadowy figure held an entire city in the grip of fear. Today we find ourselves drawn to this enigma, this character from the darkest corners of our history. We are compelled to ask, who was Jack the Ripper? Was he a man, a myth, or something in between? Let's delve into the murky past to shine a light on the enigma that is Jack the Ripper. In the autumn of 1888, the city of London was gripped by a series of gruesome murders. The quiet, foggy lanes of the Whitechapel district became a chilling stage for a deadly spectacle. The first incident that linked to the infamous Jack the Ripper was the murder of Mary Ann Nichols. Her body, found on a grimy street, bore the horrifying signature of the killer: a slashed throat and severe abdominal mutilations. Nichols' death was not an isolated incident. Over the next few months, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly would meet similar fates. Each woman was found brutally slain, their bodies mutilated in a way that suggested the work of a skilled, or at least knowledgeable hand. The nature of these killings was so shocking, so unlike anything the people of London had seen before, that panic began to seep into the very fabric of the city. The media, too, played its part in stoking the flames of fear. Newspapers were filled with lurid details of the crimes, each report more sensational than the last. The unknown murderer was given a name: Jack the Ripper, a moniker that sent shivers down the spines of London's residents. The press coverage was relentless, the public's appetite for the macabre seemingly insatiable. The authorities were under immense pressure to find the person responsible for these heinous acts. Despite their best efforts, the killer remained elusive, slipping away into the shadows of the city after each ghastly act. The inability of the police to apprehend Jack the Ripper only served to heighten the fear and tension that had gripped the city. These terrifying incidents marked the beginning of the legend of Jack the Ripper. The name would come to symbolize the embodiment of evil, a phantom that lurked in the darkest corners of Victorian London, forever casting a long, sinister shadow over the city's history. The identity of Jack the Ripper has remained a mystery, with a pool of suspects that is as diverse as it is baffling. In the grimy underbelly of Victorian London, many figures emerged as potential culprits. Among the most notorious was Aaron Kosminski, a Polish barber who suffered from paranoid schizophrenia. Despite his mental instability, he was never formally linked to the Whitechapel murders. Another suspect was Montague John Druitt, a barrister and schoolteacher. His own family suspected him of being the Ripper due to his supposed sexual insanity and his untimely death shortly after the last murder. Yet the timing of his demise remains the only circumstantial evidence against him. Then there was Francis Tumblety, an American quack doctor who had a well-known disdain for women and a collection of uteruses. His peculiarities and misogynistic tendencies painted him as a strong suspect. However, no direct evidence ever connected him to the brutal killings. The list of suspects didn't stop there. It expanded to include local butchers, slaughterhouse workers, and even members of the royal family. Prince Albert Victor, the Duke of Clarence, was implicated by a theory that suggested the murders were a cover-up for a royal scandal. Despite its sensational nature, this theory lacks substantial proof. With such a wide spectrum of suspects, the investigations were mired in speculation and hearsay. The lack of concrete evidence and the primitive state of forensic science at the time only added to the confusion. The reality was that anyone in blood-stained attire, which was common due to the era's prevalent slaughterhouses, could be suspected. While some suspects were more plausible than others, none could be definitively linked to the crimes. Theories abounded, but the truth seemed to slip further into the foggy alleyways of Whitechapel. The Ripper, whoever he was, had skillfully evaded capture and left a legacy of fear and fascination that lingers to this day. Despite the numerous suspects, the true identity of Jack the Ripper remains shrouded in mystery. Adding to the mystery and fear were a series of letters, allegedly written by the Ripper himself. These letters, saturated with chilling details and marked with a signature that would become infamous, were sent to various media outlets and police authorities during the height of the Whitechapel murders. The content of these letters was as unsettling as the crimes themselves. The sender reveled in the horror of the acts, describing them with a disturbing level of enjoyment. The letters also contained predictions of future crimes, adding an additional layer of terror to an already fearful city. Perhaps the most famous of these correspondences is the From Hell letter, which was received by George Lusk, the leader of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee. Accompanied by a small box containing half a human kidney, the letter's author claimed to have fried and eaten the other half. This gruesome letter, more than any other, sent shivers down the spines of the Victorian public. The impact of these letters on the public was profound. They created a sense of panic and dread that permeated through the streets of London. They also influenced the investigation, as authorities were led on a wild goose chase, attempting to trace the author through handwriting analysis and postal marks. But were these letters authentic? Or were they the work of opportunistic hoaxers, capitalizing on the public's fear and fascination? Some experts argue that the letters' intimate knowledge of the crimes suggests they could only have been written by the killer. Others counter that the details could have been gleaned from newspaper reports, and the letters were likely the work of journalists seeking to sell more papers. Regardless of their authenticity, there's no denying the impact these letters had on the legend of Jack the Ripper. They introduced a name that would echo through the annals of criminal history, and they amplified the terror of a city already gripped by fear. Whether genuine or hoaxes, these letters played a crucial role in shaping the legend of Jack the Ripper. Over a century later, the legacy of Jack the Ripper endures, captivating the minds of people around the world. The spectre of the Ripper has transcended time, embedding itself deeply within our cultural fabric. His mysterious identity, the gruesome nature of his crimes, and the enigma surrounding his letters have inspired countless interpretations across various mediums. From the foggy, gaslit streets of Victorian London, Jack the Ripper has journeyed far beyond the confines of Whitechapel. The world of literature has seen an array of novels, plays, and short stories, each offering their unique take on the Ripper's tale. He has been portrayed as a monstrous villain, a tortured soul, and even as an anti-hero. Each narrative, whether it humanizes or demonizes him, adds another layer to the already complex Ripper legend. The silver screen and television haven't been immune to the Ripper's influence either. From noir detective films to modern crime series, Jack the Ripper has been a recurring character, often used to symbolize the darker side of humanity. His story has been reimagined through the lens of various genres, from horror to drama, and even romance. Even in pop culture, the Ripper's presence is felt. His name has been used in music, video games, and graphic novels, and his image has been immortalized in countless works of art. But why does the mystery of Jack the Ripper continue to captivate us? Perhaps it's our fascination with the macabre, or our desire to solve the unsolvable. Or perhaps it is the allure of the unknown, the thrill of the chase, and the tantalizing possibility of uncovering the truth that keeps us enthralled. Whether a man or a myth, Jack the Ripper has left an indelible mark on our collective consciousness. His legacy is a testament to the enduring power of mystery, the allure of the unknown, and our insatiable curiosity about the dark corners of human nature. Despite extensive investigations and numerous theories, the mystery of Jack the Ripper remains unsolved. As we peel back the layers of this enduring enigma, we find ourselves entangled in a web of questions without clear answers. The foggy streets of Victorian London, the gruesome Whitechapel murders, the chilling letters, and the multitude of suspects. Each element adds to the complexity of the mystery that is Jack the Ripper. While the macabre dance of death that played out in the autumn of 1888 was undoubtedly real, the identity of the man behind the moniker remains shrouded in uncertainty. Over a century of speculation has given birth to a multitude of theories, each more compelling than the last. From local butchers to members of the royal family, the list of potential culprits is as diverse as it is perplexing. As we grapple with the question of Jack the Ripper's true identity, we must also consider the role of the media in shaping the narrative. The letters, whether genuine or fabricated, heightened the sense of terror and fueled public fascination. This fascination persists today, with the Ripper's tale continuing to captivate audiences worldwide. The legacy of Jack the Ripper extends far beyond the realm of true crime, infiltrating literature, film, and pop culture. He has become a symbol of the dark underbelly of the Victorian era, a spectre haunting the annals of crime history. Yet the allure of the Ripper's story lies not in its horror, but in its indeterminacy. The tantalizing possibility of uncovering the truth keeps us returning to the scene of the crime, time and again. Despite the passage of time, the quest for answers persists. New theories continue to emerge, each promising to shed light on this age-old mystery. Yet the face of Jack the Ripper remains hidden in the shadows, eluding our grasp. As we continue to seek the truth, the question remains: was Jack the Ripper real, or just a product of our darkest fears?